Hey friends, welcome to the Time for Living podcast, your ultimate guide to reclaiming the time you need to crush your biggest goals while still having time to live your one beautiful life. I'm your host, Lucy Clark, a devoted boy mum, dedicated business owner, and time freedom expert. Say goodbye to the I'm too busy mindset that's holding you back from achieving what matters most to you. No more feeling overwhelmed or stuck in the same place year after year. Every week, we'll dive deep into strategies for being intentional with your precious time so you can hit those ambitious goals while still making time for yourself and your family. If you're ready to create more time, get practical tips, and prioritize the steps that will make the biggest impact on your career and life, then you're in the right spot. Pop in your earbuds, steal a quiet moment, and let's find time together. Hi there, beautiful humans. Welcome back to Time for Living. Or if you're new here, welcome to the Time for Living family. I'm so glad you're here with me today because we're about to have one of those conversations that's going to completely shift how you think about something you do every single day. And I mean every single day. If you're like most high achievers, email is probably one of the things you spend the majority of your time on. And that often extends way beyond office hours too. It's spilling into your evenings, your weekends, your family time. That's exactly why we need to talk about this and why having a real system is so crucial. So grab your coffee or tea if you're me, get comfortable, and let's talk about something that literally everyone believes but isn't true. And I mean everyone, including me, until I figured this out the hard way. The myth is, good email management means handling emails as they come in throughout the day. I can already feel you bristling, right? You're probably thinking, wait, hold up. Of course I should respond when emails arrive. That's what being responsive means. And listen, I totally get it. I used to believe this with every fiber of my being. I wore my lightning fast email responses like a badge of honor. But we've been so conditioned to think that immediate action equals productivity, that staying on top of things means reacting to things the second they happen. And that being available 24/7 somehow makes us more professional, more valuable, more indispensable. But here's what I discovered, and this changed everything. This reactive approach isn't making you more productive or more professional. It's actually keeping you trapped in this exhausting cycle of anxiety, overwhelm, and completely scattered thinking. What if I told you that the very thing you think is making you look responsive and on the ball is actually destroying your ability to focus on the work that truly moves your life and career forward? What if everything you've been taught about email management is keeping you stuck in a pattern that's literally making you sick? Because here's the thing that's going to shock you. And I have the research to back this up. Handling emails as they arrive isn't making you more productive. It's making you sick. Literally, physically sick. And the productivity industry, they're making it worse by teaching you to be a better reactor instead of helping you become a strategic processor. So let's talk about where this myth comes from, because it's absolutely everywhere, isn't it? From the very first day you got your professional email address, probably back in college or your first job, you were told that quick responses equals professionalism. Think about it. Your professors praised students who responded to emails within hours. Your first boss probably made some comment about how responsive you were when you replied to their 7 p.m. email at 7:03 p.m. You've seen those productivity gurus on Instagram with their perfectly organized inboxes, teaching us to touch it once and handle emails immediately. And it doesn't stop there. Your manager celebrates you for being the person who always responds quickly. Your colleagues have come to expect instant replies. That client who emails you at 9 p.m. somehow expects an answer before their morning coffee. We've created this culture where response speeds equals professional worth. This feels true because we've all experienced that relief, right? You know that feeling, that one time when you've cleared out your inbox after responding to everything that came in during the day. It feels so productive. It feels like you're crushing it, staying on top of everything, being the person everyone can count on. The myth serves this deeper purpose too, and this is where it gets really sneaky. It makes us feel important, needed, indispensable. When people are emailing us constantly and we're responding constantly, it feeds into this narrative that we're valuable and in demand. We start to mistake being busy for being productive. We confuse reacting quickly with getting meaningful work done. And here's the thing that I want you to really hear. We've all been taught this, so none of this is your fault. The productivity industry has built entire empires around teaching us to be better reactors. They've got courses on how to respond faster, systems to help you organize your reactions better, tools to make you more efficient at dropping everything whenever an email arrives. But here's what's really happening underneath all of this. And this is the part that nobody talks about. Every single time you drop what you're doing to handle an email that's just arrived, you're fragmenting your attention. You're training your brain to expect interruption. You're conditioning yourself to live in a constant state of reaction instead of intention. You're not managing your email is managing you. You're not being productive, you're being reactive. And it's costing you so much more than you realize. Okay, so let's get into what's actually happening here, because the research on this is absolutely mind-blowing. And I've talked about this on the podcast before, but it bears repeating because it's so important. Research shows that it takes an average of 23 minutes to fully refocus after an interruption. 23 minutes. I know I mention this stat a lot, but it's because it's a game changer when you really understand what it means. So picture this. You're working on something important. Maybe it's a presentation, a strategic plan, a creative project, and you're in that beautiful flow state where everything is clicking. Then your email notification pings. You think, I'll just quickly check this and get right back to work. But that quick check doesn't just steal the 2 minutes you spend reading and responding to the email. It steals the next 23 minutes it takes your brain to get back into deep focus. If you're handling emails as they come in every hour, which most of us are, you're never actually reaching deep focus. You're living in what I call partial attention land. All day long, you're slightly distracted, always slightly scattered, never fully present with the work that actually matters. But it gets worse. Studies have found that people who process email reactively throughout the day have higher cortisol levels than those who batch process. Here's what's happening in your body. Every time you switch from your real work to email and back again, your stress hormones spike. Your nervous system can't tell the difference between a saber-toothed tiger and an email notification. It triggers the same fight or flight response. This means you're walking around in a chronic state of low-level stress all day long. Your body thinks it's under constant threat. No wonder you feel completely drained by 3 p.m., even when you haven't done anything physically demanding. We're literally rewiring our brains for anxiety and training our nervous system to be hypervigilant. And here's what actually works, and this is going to sound completely counterintuitive. The most productive, successful people I know treat email like they would treat any other important task. They don't react to it. They schedule it, they batch it, they process it strategically, intentionally, and completely on their own terms. Let me share a specific example that perfectly illustrates this. I have a client, an amazing woman, incredible leader. She was so proud of her responsiveness. She'd respond to emails within minutes of receiving them. She thought this made her look professional and on top of things. But when we actually tracked her time, here's what was really shocking. We discovered she was spending 4 to 5 hours every single day on email. That's more than half of a typical workday. And the kicker, she was never completing her high-value projects, the work that would actually advance her career, grow her influence, make a real impact. That work was always getting pushed aside for email. The problem wasn't she was disorganized. She actually had a pretty clean inbox most of the time. The problem was how she was managing it. She was reacting instead of processing. She was scattering her attention instead of focusing it. She was letting her email dictate her entire day instead of making intentional choices about her time and attention. When she switched from reactive processing to strategic batch processing, she still achieved inbox zero, just differently. Her email time dropped from 20 plus hours per week to 8 to 10 hours per week. But here's the part that really matters. Her project completion rate doubled, because she finally had uninterrupted focus time to do the work that actually mattered. And here's the real eye-opener. Nobody noticed. Not her boss, not her team, not her clients. The urgency she thought existed was mostly in her own head. The immediate responses she thought were so critical. Turns out most people didn't even notice when she started responding in batches instead of immediately. Once you see this pattern, everything changes. You start to realize that most emails aren't actually urgent. They just feel urgent when you're reacting to them instead of processing them strategically. So here's the completely different approach I want you to consider. And I know this might feel different at first, but stop reacting to your email and start processing it. It does sound like semantics, but the difference is absolutely huge. Reacting means dropping everything when an email arrives. Processing means handling your email intentionally, strategically, and completely on your terms. The productivity gurus have been teaching you to be a better reactor, faster at responding, more organized in your responses, more efficient at dropping everything to handle whatever lands in your inbox. And look, they mean well, but they're essentially optimizing the wrong thing. They're focused on speed of reaction rather than intentional, focused, and strategic processing. But what if, instead of being a better reactor, you could become a strategic processor? And what I mean by that, if you had specific, dedicated times for email where you focus completely on processing everything efficiently and thoroughly, what if you could go hours, maybe even an entire morning without checking email, and know that when you did sit down to process it, you'd handle everything quickly, thoughtfully, and completely? What if your emails served your priorities instead of hijacking them? I've developed a step-by-step framework, what I call the Email Freedom Framework, specifically to solve this problem. It's not about abandoning inbox zero. I'm a huge fan of a clean, organized inbox. It's about achieving inbox zero strategically instead of reactively. It's 5 simple steps that completely transform your relationship with email from scattered reactions to focused processing. Step 1 involves what I call email bankruptcy. And I know this sounds scary, but it's actually incredibly liberating. It's about creating a clean slate so you can start processing instead of just reacting to an overwhelming backlog. Step 2 creates what I call email homes, specific places for different types of emails so when you process, everything flows to the right place immediately. No more reading the same email 5 times trying to figure out what to do with it. Step 3 puts automation to work so routine emails never even hit your main processing flow. Your system starts working for you instead of against you. Step 4 uses a simple 2-minute rule during your processing sessions that keeps you efficient and prevents you from getting bogged down in decision-making. And Step 5 creates boundaries around when and how you process so you can focus completely during those times and be completely present with everything else during non-email times. I know this feels different from everything you've been taught, but here's what's happening when you shift from reactive to strategic. You'll notice your anxiety levels drop dramatically because you're not constantly interrupted. You'll have longer periods of deep focus because you're not switching contexts all day long. You'll actually become more responsive, not faster, but better, because when you do process email, you're giving it your full attention. The most successful people I know don't react faster. They process smarter. They don't respond to everything immediately. They respond to the right things intentionally. All right, here's your challenge. I want you to try this even if it feels a little scary at first. For the next 3 days, I want you to experiment with strategic processing instead of reactive handling. Pick 2 or 3 specific times per day when you'll process your email, or maybe even 4 if you need to ease into it. Perhaps 9 a.m., 1 p.m., 3 p.m., and one last check at 5 p.m. During those times, give email your full attention. Really focus on it. Process everything thoroughly. And then outside those times, resist the urge to check. Close your email completely if you have to. I know exactly what you're thinking right now. What if something urgent happens? What if someone needs me? What if I miss something important? Here's the truth that took me way too long to learn. If it's truly urgent, they'll call you. If it's truly important, it can wait 2 hours. And if it's neither urgent nor important, which describes about 90% of our email, why are you letting it control your entire day? The biggest objection I hear, and maybe you're thinking this too, but my boss expects immediate responses. My clients expect immediate responses. My team expects immediate responses. Can I ask you something? Have you actually tested this? Have you actually asked these people what their real expectations are? Because in my experience, most of the time we're creating these expectations in our own heads. When you start processing strategically instead of reactively, something magical happens. Your responses are often higher quality because you're giving them your full attention instead of firing off quick replies while you're thinking about 3 other things. You now have permission to do this differently. You have permission to process instead of react. You have permission to focus completely on email when you choose to, instead of partially focusing on it all day long. You have permission to let email serve your priorities instead of hijacking them. If you want to take this even further, and I really hope you do, because this work is life-changing, here's what I've discovered working with lots of women. Email is just the tip of the iceberg. When we start tracking where your time actually goes throughout the day, email reactive processing is usually part of a much bigger pattern of giving your time away unconsciously, both professionally and at home. There are usually 5 to 7 other places where you're hemorrhaging time without even realizing it. We need systems, not just for our professional lives, but for all the ways time slips away in our personal lives too. The decision fatigue, the constant context switching, the poorly structured routines that drain our energy before we even start our real work. That's why I've created something called the Time Aligned Blueprint. It's a 5-week program that takes you from scattered and reactive, like that email reactivity we just talked about, to systematically aligned across all areas of your life. We're talking about emergency time recovery in week 1, where you reclaim 5 to 10 hours immediately. Then energy optimization, building systems at scale, mastering delegation, and finally creating your complete time-aligned life design. There's an entire section dedicated specifically to email management using the complete email freedom framework. But we go so much deeper than just email, because the truth is, if you're reactive with your email, you're probably reactive in other areas too. The goal is simple. Your time finally serves your priorities instead of everyone else's demands, whether that's email demands, family demands, work demands, or social demands. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, you can join the waitlist for details about the next cohort. I'll put the link in the show notes. And if you want to get started right now with identifying where your time is actually going, I have something you can dive into immediately. It's called the Hidden Time Finder, and it's a strategic audit that reveals 21 specific ways busy women lose hours daily without even realizing it. Like the reactive email checking, the way you've dropped everything every time a notification pings instead of processing it strategically. Or those 23 minutes refocus periods you're losing every single time you get interrupted. Or the mental energy you're burning staying in that chronic stress state all day because your nervous system thinks every email is an emergency. But it goes so much deeper than email. Like the 5 minutes you spend every morning hunting for something, like your phone, that adds up to 30 hours a year. Or the mental energy you waste thinking of what's for dinner each night that could be eliminated with one simple system. All the way you're context switching between tasks instead of batching similar work together. This guide shows you exactly where to reclaim those lost hours in your existing routine so you can create space for what truly matters without adding more to your already full plate. You can grab your copy completely free at timeforliving.co/timefinder. I'll put that link in the show notes too. Because here's what I want you to really understand. Being responsive doesn't mean being reactive. You can be the person everyone counts on without constantly dropping everything for every email. You can feel important, needed, and indispensable without mistaking being busy for being productive. You can be valuable and in demand while still protecting your time and attention for the work that truly matters. Your email can be beautifully managed and you can have uninterrupted focus time for the work that lights you up. The myth has been busted. The truth is out there. Now it's time to live it. I'll see you next week. Until then, remember, your time is your most precious resource. Protect it like your life depends on it, because in so many ways, it does. Hey friends, thank you so much for tuning in to the Time for Living podcast today. If this episode inspired you to take action and save time, I'd be so grateful if you could leave a written review and subscribe over on Apple Podcasts. Your feedback means the world to me and helps us reach even more amazing people like you. If you know a friend who needs to hear this message, share this episode with them. And remember, your time is precious, so make every moment count. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep living, and keep making time for what matters most.